Got $2 left. Anyway, guys, let me say hi to everyone. Hi, all for you. And I guess while I'm sitting here, I'm just waking up. It's almost 9 p.m. And you can see how I kind of finally reorganized my place from the filthy roommate. I reorganized this with these little turners. And I still need to get the things out of here to organize that. I need to take this out now because I cleaned it up. Get out. And I did that, reorganized that with my kitchen. The only thing that's filthy is my housemate, my roommate, who's filthy as F. And concept of cleaning is something foreign to him. Look at this filthy stuff compared to my stuff. And I was literally over here organizing, putting up my clothes. But like I said, I just woke up. What is this? Triple action. Oh, lidocaine. I literally have my shoulders like wrecking me. Hello, Mia. And hello, Boom Shakalaka. Oh, hello, Arthur. How are you? Hello, Adore. Hello, Arthur again. Hi, Arthur. And again, do be sure to join us tomorrow. Oh, yeah, here's the mouthwash. Here's the alcohol. And I also have one for which Hazel. And then I put my little perfumes back here. Oh, goodness. I could keep that there. With that said, I was literally over here because I'm about to, like I said, I'm just getting up. I took a nap because I've been getting up at the crack of dawn, like before the sun, well, not the crack of dawn before the sun rises, but the lady who's helping me paint upstairs with the vacant apartment from the tenant from hell, she shows up at the crack of dawn early, and I've been helping her. I think I pulled my tendon, and unlike bone and muscle and skin, which can regrow and repair even if it's repaired crooked, because you have a steady blood supply, tendons and ligaments sucks to be used. So I don't know. I guess I was doing so much that I don't know what I did. It hurts like hell. But that didn't stop me from finally getting a nap because it's so hellish humid this whole week. It's torture. I mean, I'm surprised I don't have a heat warning index. Like, what did they say? A heat advisory or something? Oh, hello. I'm surprised I don't have a heat advisory because it's definitely a heat advisory going on. Let me invite some people. But yeah, so anyway, with my dream, and well, anyway, I'm so disorganized, I'm talking about everything else. But with that said, I had to put the lidocaine on because it hurts. Actually, it's diclofenac gel. I don't know if it's upside down for you guys or whatever, but of course it's probably flipped backwards. But I think, I don't claim it, but I think I ruptured my tendon, and oh my God. The only thing you could do for tendons is surgery, which is nice. Oh God. Anyway, and it's probably hurting extra because I've been carrying paint upstairs and cleaning stuff upstairs because the tenant from hell still got her trash in the apartment, her filthy blanket, her broken video game chair, and every other thing known to me and God is still in there. And we have to legally wait till 30 days, which is literally today and tomorrow, this weekend. So I'm gonna call another guy to come over and throw out all that junk because she ain't picking it up. And she could come pick it up now at the dumpster. Tuesday would be exactly the 15th. So we'll do like she requested and throw all that stuff right to the dumpster. And she could pick it up then on her own availability right in front of the dumpster. And if she don't, then the trash people can take it. Hello, MQ and everyone else. With that said, I was having so I was waking up the crack of dawn every damn day, and here's my book 9 crazy dreams, the first one, and I have to follow up 8 more crazy dreams, which I'm actually editing now. And this dream I just had, definitely will go into it because it's crazy as I don't know what. And I just realized that if they're doing karaoke tonight, it's probably starting now. Because I literally woke up like 20 minutes ago, went to the bathroom, washed my face and everything, which is why I'm literally doing that now. Because I was going around, what in the world? Let me turn this light back on. I was literally, I have nyctophobia. I'm afraid of the dark and the zero visibility stuff. So I'm not one to be being up in the daytime. I mean, at night, but daytime is easy for me to fall asleep because it's light. With that said, before I forget my dream, I was basically, I believe the reason why I dreamt that is because, hello everyone who's joining. Hi Maddie, hi Adeline. Who else said hi? Hi everyone else. I believe the reason why I had this crazy dream, and you could buy the book 8 Crazy Dreams. This is available. I don't know why they won't let me, I can just pull it. I don't know why I can't connect this, but it's via Amazon. You can buy it. And in fact, we're going to have a fundraiser game show starting where if I could guess your accent or ethnicity or even language, then you donate to my nonprofit, The Circle's Edge, $5 or $10 or $3, whatever. And if I can't guess it and I'm wrong, then I would donate a book or CD that I have. Let Sister Monkey hold this. With that said, what was else? Let me just get to the dream before I forget it. So that's literally why I'm recording this right now, is because I just had this dream, and yeah, and I literally just woke up and it was a crazy dream. And I believe the reason why I was dreaming it is because I was looking at this brother who does like book summaries, and I love sci-fi. So yeah, that could be why I love sci-fi. I love science and dimensions and wormholes and so forth. And he was the writer of Three Body Problem, which was a really good Netflix series, which I looked at. Has a series. There's a book series. There's a book trilogy. And the last one was The Death of Earth or something. I fell asleep looking at it, probably hence my dream. But basically it was a dream that it was a bunch of dreams I had, but the only one I kind of remember was the last one. Because Sister Monkey decided to disturb me during one of the dreams. Right, Sister Monkey? Why were you bothering me? She woke me up to pet her, literally like swatting at me and harassing me to pet her. I'm sure there was a reason for it. I guess she wanted to make sure I was okay. With that said, so I was dreaming. The dream was, and it makes no sense at all. But anyway, I guess we were all in high school, or I mean college, or whatever. It was like students, and it was like and how did it even start? It was so weird. I don't even remember how it even started. Because it's more anyway. The part that I remember that was really weird was anyway. We were in high school, and I could probably tell you why I dreamt that. But we were like in college or something, and the teacher, I guess it was an extracurricular activity with the teacher. Maybe it was like a science club or something, or astronomy club, whatever it was. She's like, there was a secret special project where you could go on a space mission for real. And then when it was time, she was like, we're going to come to this little teeny closet. Like in a school, they have like the little closets where they make copies. I guess more so high school and grade school colleges. They probably have a whole Kinko's copier section, or each school has their own copier in the office or something. I know Howard University School of Communication, they have their own copier in the office. This is not snow at all. Why is it here? But with that said, I went to and I wasn't even one of the people. I was kind of like I guess you could say a fly on the wall. So I was observing it as a third person. Like, so I wasn't participating. I wasn't the student, and I wasn't the teacher, and I wasn't the aliens. I was a third person. So go figure that one out. With that said, and why isn't the screensaver? Let me go back to the elephants. But anyway, I'm getting distracted because I'm trying to figure out why my space thing. Anyway, so basically the teacher was like, okay, come along. And it was like 6 or 7 students. And they all went to like the office copier section in the school. And she's like, I'm gonna pick the leader of the whoever's smart enough, or I don't pick the captain of the ship. I was two guys competing to captain the spacecraft, if you will. Um, and so while they were doing that, two aliens, and I don't know if they were grays or lizardoids or whatever. I mean, lizardoids are usually the leader of the aliens, so I don't know who they were, but they were grays or something. But they were kind of in human form, even though they weren't human. And the teacher, to be honest, now that I'm thinking about observing it like a fly on a wall, she could have been something herself because she was able to do like teleconnect. Like she was able to open the doors without touching it and all that weird stuff. So she's like, one moment we have to, she let them in and she's like, don't say anything, be quiet, students. This is all secret anyway. And it was like two aliens came in, but they were dressed in spaceships, spacesuits, and they came in. At first, how come no one noticed them walking through the school? Well, that's another story. And they came in, and I'm assuming they looked human-like. I guess I don't know, but everyone knew they were aliens. And she's like, okay, this is the secret part. They gonna be help, whatever it was. She's like, we're gonna pick who the winner is, and the aliens is like talking to her like telepathically, and they're like, we're joining this mission. And she's like, well, why are you joining? I said, well, first off, it's our skills that got you going. If it wasn't for us, you wouldn't have never got the technology to do like cryonic sleep, and you would have been doing cryonic sleep, nor would you been oh yeah, let me start this. Why not? Well, really starts, but yes, please donate. Start pinning. Yes, please share this, like this, and invite others, whatever. Anyway, so they were like, oh shit, there's no food. Anyway, they were like, if it wasn't for us, you wouldn't have gotten the skill to be able to do cryonic sleep and anything else. So yeah, and secondly, we have a mission to do as well. And of course, if you're an alien, you should have your own craft. But they needed to hijack and ride on our craft, if you will. And I'm saying our because again, like I was a fly on the wall, observing it, like observing the whole thing. And so she's like, and so they were like, whatever. It was so weird. Yeah. So they were like, and I'm trying to remember as I talk. They were like, so she's like, okay, so you guys are, what they said, and so she said, well, the problem is we have enough food, we have enough oxygen, we have enough water for so she asked the students, okay, these two guys want to join us, and they say they have to join us because they gave us the technology to do cryo, and they're the ones that found the wormhole that we have to go through. So basically, they were going to go through a wormhole to go explore somewhere, which still doesn't make sense. Because by the time they get back to Earth, it'll be a billion years later, and they'll be like 10, 25 years older. With that said, they were going on a space exploration to go through a wormhole and this, and that. And maybe the reason they had to get students is because adults weren't able to survive the wormhole journey or the cryonic sleep. The younger you are, like they say, for example, you get your tonsils out. The older you are, the worse side effects. You get your tonsils out, but you have so many bad side effects. Was it worth it? But the younger you are, maybe after a week or two, everything is fine again. So the younger you are, you're fine, but the older you are, the worse it is for your tonsillectomy. Maybe this is similar with the cryo sleep and the wormhole. The younger you are, the more able you are to transverse the wormhole, but the older you are, the worse it is. So they were getting these college students and high school students. They were like, well, do you know what the problem is? And the student was like, yeah, we have enough resources for us. And they said, correct, you're smart, because we have enough resources, oxygen and water for a crew of 5. But you have 2 more, what do you call it, freeloaders, or whatever you call it, hobos, freeloaders, whatever you call them, people kind of like stowaways. And then the alien told her telepathically, well, look, we don't need your food. We don't eat your food at all. We don't drink your water, and we don't need even your oxygen. We don't need your oxygen. So we're not going to take your oxygen. We're not going to take your food. We're not going to take your water, and we'll be out of sight, out of mind, hiding in the bottom. You won't even know we're there, but we need to be there because we have a mission to do as well. She didn't ask what the mission was, and somehow nobody else asked what the mission is. I have no idea what the mission was. With that said, they got off so she's like, okay, fine. And then And then she said something about you have to promise you're not going to do, they're going to safely get there. You're not going to eat a morsel of food, drink a drop of water. And then the alien came out and said some weird stuff in their own language weirdness. Like, yes, we already said that. And AD, which I don't know why they put AD, Anno Domino or some, and they wrote it on a wall. And she's like, what does that mean? And I don't know. Anno Domino is the year of the Lord. So what the hell is that about? I don't know. And so then the aliens left, and the students, of course, were scared because they're like, what the hell? That the aliens stood there, and they're like, okay, yeah. And so the students, of course, were concerned about it. And she's like, okay, well, they're going to be hiding, so let's not worry about the aliens. And then let's just celebrate because we're going to be starting off space training camp in a couple of weeks. This all has to be top secret. So let's go and have a celebration because she picked who the captain was and the 5 people that's going to go on the mission with the aliens. And so they said, let's go celebrate everyone. And this is top secret. Don't say nothing to anyone. Everything is top secret. Say nothing. And then some general, this big dude in a suit, this older dude came in, and she literally curtsy and bow combination. The dude was white and he was American, so I don't know why she bowed or she curtsied because she looked black. I mean, in their dream she was black. So the teacher, science teacher, was black, and the dude was white. They both spoke English, and they both sounded American. So I don't know why she bowed and curtsied because they don't curtsy in America and they don't bow in America. With that said, he said something to her, and she brought him over, and she said, okay, everyone, I guess he was the money and the government behind it, so it wasn't as top secret. It was only top secret to the family, the kids' family, and the teachers and the students and the school administration, but the government, the secret government agency, knew all about it. So obviously, and they're saying, so next month, we're headed to space camp so you could train to be weightless, and because obviously these kids never trained, outside of going to the amusement park or space, like, space camp or Cape Canaveral, as much as I did. They never really trained. So they were going for a 2-month or 3-month training. And then after the 3-month training, I guess if they passed, I guess maybe all of them went because if one of them didn't go, they needed the substitute. So I guess all 10 students went in case one didn't make it and so forth. And then after that, they loaded the ship. I guess and of course, I guess the family didn't know. Go figure this one out. And anyway, they loaded the ship. And I guess it was only 5. I guess the 5 did see, or wherever 5 made it, and then the aliens came along, but the aliens went into the bottom, like where whatever it is, they went to the bottom of the ship. They weren't with the regular people sitting. They were hiding in the bottom where like the fuselage and all that junk is. Go figure, because they're not they're multidimensional demons, whatever. So that's really what they are. But and so they loaded the ship. And then it took off. The rocket took off. No, again, how come no one knew anything? They must have took off in the middle of the sea, kind of like contacted the movie, or because how do you take off a space shuttle and no one noticed? With that said, the space shuttle took off. They went to cryo sleep, and they woke up when they were about to hit the wormhole, kind of like the movie Interstellar. Go figure that one out. And so they woke up a couple of, I guess, months later when it was about to hit the wormhole, and they went through the wormhole. And the weird thing is, in their dream, and I'm thinking this is because I was looking at some trippy stuff. The dream, like later in my dream, I think started morphing. It's like, oh, this is disorienting, and it's morphing like the pictures, like some drawings begin to morph and more faster. I don't need to see that in my dream. I don't need to get dizzy because I don't like any type of, in my dreams, no, hell no. In real life, it's kind of like if I'm looking at the camera, if I'm looking at a TV, or a photograph, I'll look at it. But I don't need to go into a whole entire room that's morphing. That's too disorienting. Thank you. No, thank you. That'll be a no. But that happened a little in my dreams. So I guess when they went through the wormhole, they were leaving the 3 dimensions of space and entered the 4th dimension of space-time. And so in the 4th dimension of space-time, it was very warpy and disorienting because you're not in the 3 dimensions. You were in like this abyss of warping, everything disfigured. Like they took like 5 ayahuasca, LSD tabs and some mushrooms and went on a super trip, and these kids didn't do that. So they were going on this like very disorienting journey through the wormhole. And when they left the wormhole, they were on the other side, and they were like, okay, so we're headed to the new exploratory planet. And again, I don't know how they figured out there was a planet on the other side that was able to accept them. Nonetheless, they landed, and guess where they landed? Back on Earth. But instead of them landing on Earth like 100 years later, or 10 years later, or 50 years later, they landed on Earth like the space, like, and the dream was like maybe 2025 or 2026. It was now, or maybe a little in the future. They landed on Earth back in like the early 80s, like 1975, 1980 something, 1980, I guess like 1980. So they literally landed on Earth like the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s. And I'm like, what the hell? So they literally went to the wormhole, went back in time, which is really how the hell you have to literally scientifically you have to go faster than the speed of light and go into like a black hole to get back in time. You can't go through a wormhole theoretically and go back in time, but maybe you can. All I know is in a dream they went back in time like 50 years or whatever the hell, and they ended up in the 80s, early 80s, and they're like, what in the hell? And so they landed, and the next thing I know, they saw the aliens unload a bunch of payloads and gold and walk away. And they're like, what in the hell? So the aliens tricked kind of, because instead of them going to explore, which I guess they did, instead of them going to explore a real planet, they explored Earth back in the 80s, which is not what they planned. And I don't know how they planned to get back to their time, but they were stuck in their 1880s Earth, I think. But it was an alternate universe, a parallel universe, because the aliens literally took their luggage and they walked away. So they said, so they need to plant something in an earlier time period. Why did they need to use the students in their spaceship to do it is another story. I don't know why. But the students are now in like 1983 Earth. And they're like, what in the hell? And they were in like some small town. And then they went to look around. And I'm trying to think how the dream was. Because there was another dream I had earlier. And it's kind of, I'm trying to separate them, but I think in that part they went to look around 1980s Earth, and they were in some camp area or something. They were in like a rural area, and they were walking around, and they found like a I don't know. They found some type of, I don't know what, like a village or small town. And for the new people, I'm gonna add this in my follow up. This is 90 Crazy Dreams, available now on Amazon and Target, everywhere else. And this dream I have now, straight up sci-fi worthy to be into the next novel. So that's why I'm showing you that. And so they were walking around, I guess, the area, and they kind of stumbled upon this village or whatever. And they kind of like, okay, and the people was like, oh, you guys look weird and lost. Come on in. And they took care of them. But it was a weird village. And then somehow, they had like a technology, like it was like a hot air balloon, but it was a hot air balloon for one person, and it was like you just kind of like sit inside. It's like something that you could take out your pocketbook and open up, and it turns to a hot air balloon, and you just kind of like hook onto it from your arms and you float away. I don't know why this one student was playing with the hot air balloon that could float away, and I don't know why she decided to take it with her. Maybe it was a gift from the aliens, whatever. She took the hot air balloon, she was flying around. Everyone was so shocked to see that technology, and then she landed to another part of the village community, and then the guy, the boy, he, I think, ran into his own mother, and kind of like, and he somehow met his own mom, because I guess it was his village, and so he met his mom and their family. But somehow the mom liked him, and I'm like, and they're like, well, what are you doing? The students were like, what are you doing? You know that's your mom, and how can you, be friendly to her? Because if she gets with you, then you get. Are you your own father? Are you gonna give birth? Because he was born, or somebody was born, I guess, in the mid '80s. Go figure that one out. And maybe it was a captain, so I don't know how he was a student, but in the West, and then nonetheless. The guy who I guess was in his doesn't even make sense, because how could he be born in the 80s? But nonetheless, the mom met the boy. Maybe it's his grandmom. Must have been the grandmom then. Because if you're like a college student, how can your parents? I mean, I guess your parents can be born in be like 20 years old or 15 years old in the 80s, and you could be a college student. But most likely, you'll probably be in your mid 30s if you were born in the 80s or 40s. So. I don't know at all. Nonetheless, somehow him and his grandmom, I guess, then thinking of the timeline, must have been flirting and hooking up, and they're like, "Well, how can you be your own father?" Or it was something weird, like you gave birth to your father, then your father gives birth to you. It's kind of like a retarded cycle that doesn't even make sense. And if your grandson gives pregnant your grandmom, and is your child gonna be super inbred, freak of nature? I mean, whatever it was. I think that's ended up what happened. Grandma got pregnant by her own grandson. Of course, she didn't know it was her grandson, and I guess he didn't figure out that it was his grandmother until after the fact that she got pregnant, which meant that she gave birth to his mother or father, which makes no sense. Or, yeah, it doesn't. And I have no idea if they ever made it back to the current time, because basically they need to re-enter the wormhole. They need to go back into cryo, re-enter the wormhole, come back to Earth. And maybe the concept was by the time you go through the wormhole, time dilation, if you ever return back to Earth, 100 years have passed, or 50 years have passed, or a lot of maybe 50 or 70 years have passed. So if you would have come back to Earth, it would have been like so many years later. So I don't know how they realized they were going to survive in some new colony, but they literally, I don't know if the teacher, the weird science teacher in the science club, that had those weird telekinetic powers, the Black American chick lady who was bowing and curtsying to the general dude, which was weird. I don't know if she was behind it as well. I don't know if she and the aliens knew they were going back in time. I don't know why they had to go back in time, but that was just a weird dream. And that was kind of like how it ended, because I woke up because, yeah, I don't know. I think it's part like that something started warping in my dream, and I've had several dreams where I won't say 3D, because I dream like regular. Like whenever I'm dreaming, it feels like right now. Like my dreams are very lifelike. So, like I said, in this dream, I wasn't participating; I was observing. But the dreams are very lifelike. They're not even like I'm looking at. It's like I'm right there. So to say something is in 3D is kind of weird. So I'm guessing it's another dimension, because I've had dreams where I guess maybe it's more like they're warping. And I'm guessing the reason why I've had dreams where I've seen things warp. Like I know one dream I had, which was really weird. I was I ended up underwater in the dream. And I don't know why I was underwater, but I was walking around. I had to go to the bathroom, even though I'm underwater. So I went to look for the bathroom underwater, which is crazy. And I think in real life I was holding my breath because I kind of woke up gasping for air. But I was underwater looking for the bathroom. And then I went to the bathroom, and first of all, I was able to breathe underwater. What was this, Aquaman Part Zero? I don't know. I'm not an Atlantean. So I was able to breathe underwater, which I thought was kind of freaky as hell in the first place. Secondly, why did I need to go look for a toilet underwater? But how is the toilet flush underwater? Nonetheless, I went to look for the bathroom. And in the bathroom, it was like a regular bathroom. It just looked like it was all underwater, which doesn't make any sense any way, shape, or form, scientifically, in real life. But in the dream, I was in the bathroom, and I looked in the mirror. It's a medicine cabinet. But when I looked in the mirror, I turned to look in the mirror, and then my reflection turned the same way. So, instead of it being coordinated, the reflection was a little delayed. And instead of me looking back at my reflection, I was looking like the back of my head. So I like the mirror, like for example, the mirror was literally a video camera, and the video was on the back of my head. So when I turned, it was a delayed me turning. So I'm like, how the hell is this the back of my head? Why is the mirror back of my head? So theoretically in the dream it could have been a video camera, but it was supposed to be a mirror, and the mirror was turned the back of my head. And then every time I moved, the room shaked and jerked. So it was very disorienting, because I'm like, why is the room moving? When I look in this mirror, and the room began to move, like when I turned, the room followed. When I turned this way, the room followed. I'm like, this is horrible, and I forced myself to wake up, because that's like not 3D. That's just disorienting hella. Like why is the room following me? And then and in today's dream, nothing was. I was kind of like things started to morph, like. And I think it was kind of, I was looking at it as an observer from the students, but they're like, oh my God, the images are morphing. I guess they were looking at some words, or maybe the aliens wrote something. They were reading what the aliens wrote, but it started to morph. And it wasn't even normal English. It was like some characters in gibberish. So the students didn't understand it, but the images and the writings began to morph. And like they took some LSD. And I'm assuming they were reading it while they were going through the wormholes. So like they looked, and the words began to morph, everything began to morph, like they took some LSD and some mushrooms and having a horrible acid trip. And in my dream, the images were morphing that way too. And I'm like, oh hell to the no. you're not gonna morph in real life because that's too disorienting. So I think I forced myself to wake up because I do not like that. And then I fell right back to sleep. But I do not like to have a dream where things are morphing and disorienting. And then and now other time, I think the biggest one was like years ago, I guess 2014, probably 2014, so that's 11 years ago. I was still living upstairs in the apartment, and I was having a dream because I was dreaming, organizing how I wanted this apartment here, and I was doing like those like layouts about how I want the room to look at everything, and it's kind of like a 3D layout. You can look at it as 2D, or you can look at immersive and 3D and walk through it. I don't know why, but I fell asleep, and it was like a nightmare. That was like the first real one. I've had other ones where things are kind of like extra 3D in the dream, and it's weird and it wakes me up because I don't like it. Like I had a dream of, I guess I visited heaven. I don't know. It wasn't really heaven. I woke up and it was really, and everyone was singing and everyone was wearing robes. People, every race, creed, color, age, size, height, whatever. I don't know. But it was really cool. Everyone's wearing these robes, singing these awesome songs and dancing. But I wasn't part of it. Again, I was like observing, but I was myself observing this time. I wasn't like a fly on a wall, but I was observing it and following them. But I couldn't join them and I couldn't enter a certain area. And so then I went to get some water at the water fountain. And, I don't know if it was Jesus or somebody, or someone was standing around after I drank the water, but the water came out extra 3D. Like instead of it just being regular water, it was kind of like hit, like, when you put them 3D glasses on and the characters pop out at you and they kind of like jump into your face. You have to duck and dodge it. Like, cause they make it so like the 3D, like the ships and the people fighting and the things are throwing right into your face. Yeah. So that's kind of how the water did. I turned the water fountain on and the 3D vision kind of like had the water splash up into my face. And I'm like, oh my God, what the hell? Which theoretically could have just been water splashing in my face. But I didn't like the fact that it was literally splashing in my face in my dream. And I'm like, what the hell? And then I drank it and it came out foamy, like whipped cream. And I'm like, what type of water? And then I don't know if it was Jesus, but some guy was standing there looking and smiling. And I woke myself up in real life because I was kind of like, what the hell, But the one that was really the weirdest in the trip is, and I think that was like a fourth dimension. Why, I don't know. In my dream, I hit the fourth dimension. I don't like that. Like I said, I was upstairs like 11 years ago. I was like mapping out how I wanted my apartment to look down here. And while I was mapping it out, I fell asleep doing whatever. And when and in my dream, I was literally, in the dream, I was in the bed. I woke up in my dream. And I woke up and I'm in my room and I'm laying on my bed and the door is in front of me, and the TV was over here and the window was over there and the back of my bed, the headboard and all of that was behind me. I was laying at the foot of my bed. I was sleeping on the foot of my bed instead of on the head of the bed. So in front of me was my door and my closet. This side was my TV and my little TV stand. On that side was my window and the shelf. And behind me was the headboard and stuff like that in the wall. And beneath me was the bed and the floor, and above me was the ceiling. And so I looked up and everything kind of opened up. Like if you have a box and you open up the box where you have like, and when it opened up, it was kind of like there was the ceiling right in front of me. And right beneath the ceiling was the wall that was my headboard. And then beneath the headboard, and I could literally see myself looking at the headboard. It's kind of like I'm looking down and I could see myself, like I could see the back of my head almost looking at the headboard. Because like I said, I was sitting at the edge of the bed. So I sat up and I could see the back of my head and the back of my body looking at the headboard. And then I could see the ceiling. I guess it wasn't, and I could see the ceiling and I could see the back of my head and the headboard. And then over here was and I could see the back of my head and the headboard. And then over here was and then the dream, and over there was like the window and the little storage shelf. And on the other side was the TV and the TV stand. And then beneath the head, and then beneath that was the floor and then then I think that there was a floor, and I guess it was shaped like a cross or something because you got like the ceiling block, you got the headboard cross or something because you got like the ceiling block, you got the headboard block where I'm looking at it, You got the block to the left, which was the window and the shelf, and the block to the right, which was a TV and the TV stand. The headboard block where I'm looking at it, you got the block to the left, which was the window and the shelf, and the block to the right, which was a TV and the TV stand on the wall, and the block beneath it was, and then the block beneath it, I guess, was floor. Even though I didn't, and the floor, the bottom of my room layout, the floor, and then beneath that was the door and the closet. Was the door and the closet. And I don't even think the door was upside down. All I know was like all one, and then there was no black space, because if you open it up in real life, you'll have if it's like a cross or squares. If you open up a box in real life, you have the box and you have the empty space between the box. It'll be like the box, and you have the empty space on this side where it's just blank space, and then blank space here, blank space. But you see like the blank space because it's a box. But in this dream, there was no blank space. There was no non-existence. It was just a big ass, the whole entire space, because it's a box. But in this dream, there was no blank space. There was no non-existence. It was just a big ass, my whole field of vision was the whole room, everything all at once, me and everything else in the whole room. So I'm like, what in the hell? What the F is this? Why is the whole room unfolded, and why am I looking at it? And I'm like, what in the hell? And I saw the bottom of my floor, and I saw the back door. So I turned, and when I turned, the whole room, like the room followed my gaze. It wouldn't let me turn. It was following me. Like everywhere I turned, the room followed. Like I did this, and the room followed, and I did this, and the room followed. It was like always in front of me. If I did this, and the room followed, and I did this, and the room followed. It was like always in front of me. If I turned backwards, the room followed, and I turned up, the room followed. I was like, it didn't follow smooth. It was like jerky. It was like if I turned fast, it jerked to follow me. And I'm like, what in the flying hell? What in the hell? What is this torture? And I did not like it jerk to follow me. And I'm like, what in the flying hell? What in the hell? What is this torture? And I did not like it in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. It was like nightmarish to the highest level. And I'm thinking, and that happened like straight up nightmare.
Far away.
And let me say how it reminded me of, because I was looking at, and I believe the reason why I had this crazy ass dream was I was looking at this.
With a Cologuard.
Oh, shut up! I was looking at this this brother who does these book reviews. This crazy ass dream was I was looking at this.
With a Cologuard.
Oh, shut up! I was looking at this this brother who does these book reviews, and he's really good, and he does the book reviews. And let me delete this part. The book reviews. And let me delete this part. And it was called, and it was a writer of the Three Body Problem. I think the trilogy, and that's what I was saying before I started hearing. And he made one point. What was it? There's been an heir adopted, and where was it? It was really weird. And there, why are the bows that there's like? And he made a point about. Why are the bows that there's like? And he made a point about.
Why are there so many fourth-dimensional fragments in three-dimensional space was laid out clearly and inexquisite from within the fourth dimension?
And this.
Why are there so many fourth-dimensional fragments in three-dimensional space was laid out clearly and inexquisite from within the fourth dimension?
And this guy explained it better than I could.
Dark secret.
So here's.
From within the fourth dimension.
Let me pause.
Three-dimensional space was laid out clearly and in exquisite, overwhelming detail. In fact, it was impossible for the human brain to process the amount of information they were being visually given to navigate the fourth dimension.
Wish I didn't get to that point.
The brain that had been adapted from birth to sense and feel three-dimensional space could not handle the brain that had been adapted from birth to sense and feel three-dimensional space could not handle the infinite information generated by countless details. And
yes.
Initially, information overload threatened to shut down processing.
Well,
but the brain soon grew used to the four-dimensional environment. Initially, information overload threatened to shut down processing.
Well,
but the brain soon grew used to the four-dimensional environment, and without conscious thought, it learned to ignore most details, leaving only the frames around objects.
Oh, let me rewind it, because that was so much time. I said that describes exactly.
It learned to ignore most details, leaving only the frames around objects.
So I believe that's why oh, look how it's moving. So weird. It's moving pixelated. Well, anyway, that was kind of like, I said that described my dream 100%. Where I went to the fourth dimension. That and it wasn't even I went to the fourth dimension. I was like observing myself, my vision. That and it wasn't even I went to the fourth dimension. I was like observing myself, my body in the fourth dimension 11 years ago, and it was nightmarish because it was sensory overload to the highest level. And it's similar to stories. There was a few stories of people that are naturally blind all their life, and there was one that had near-death experiences. And when they had the near-death experience, there was one lady who was married and she had a near-death experience. She was blind all of her life, and in the ambulance in the near-death experience, she could see everything was going on in 3D. She could see she didn't know what colors were, but she could see all the different shades of colors. But she was, and then she could see all the shapes, and she's like, oh, this is what people look like in real life then. And then she saw the lady and she saw the ring on the lady, and she looked at it and said, oh my God, that's my ring. On the lady, and she looked at it and said, oh my God, that's my ring. And then she's like, and then she looked at the woman's hair and said, oh, that's me. And then she took a minute to figure out that was her, because of course she's blind, so she didn't know what she looked like in real life. And then plus, I guess when you have a near-death experience, you don't realize that's you laying in the ambulance. And so, and she said, and then she looked at the ambulance, people trying to revive her and all that stuff. And she said, and then when she came to my vision, did you love it? It was a blessing. She said, no, it was nightmarish. It was too much sensory overload. I didn't like it. She couldn't stand it. And there was a documentary about the guy who wasn't blind from birth, but he was blind, I guess, from a very young age. So I guess it wasn't like he was blind, I guess, from age 5 or 6. It wasn't like he was blind, I guess, from age 5 or 6 when your vision and your brain finished morphing. I guess he got blind at maybe age 2 or 3. I guess he got blind very, very young. And so he was walking and he had his dog and they gave him blind surgery. So he was able to get, like, I guess, retinas or whatever, eye transplant, whatever it was. He was able to get the surgery to be able to see. Eye transplant, whatever it was, he was able to get the surgery to be able to see. But when he became to see, his brain never developed distance and perception, i.e. 3D. I guess, his brain never developed to see vision in 3Ds, perception and ability to see 3D vision. So when he came to, he said that he could see all the 3D vision. So when he came to, he said that he could see all the shapes and shades and colors, which he was new to because he didn't know what colors were, because I guess he never learned the colors at 2 years old. So he could see all these shapes and colors and shades and brightness and everything, but it was very disorienting. And when he walked, he thought he was going to walk into things. He thought when he was going home in the ride, he thought the stop sign was going to run into his face, a tree was going to run into his face. In the ride, he thought the stop sign was going to run into his face, a tree was going to run into his face. He said everything was running into him. So he said it was too much overload. He was too late in life to get his vision because he was so used to he never developed the sense of depth in 3D and volume. He never developed that volume of this 3D space. So he literally wore blackout glasses all the time and continued to live as a blind person with his cane and his dog because his brain, theoretically, I guess you can develop, because I guess his brain was too much and he didn't want to deal with it. But they have this weird, crazy, whole world was upside down. They were like, oh my gosh, it's so disorienting. And they had to walk around with the goggles on for like 24 hours a day. And I think by the first 3 days, it was terrifying, or first couple, but then their brain got used to it. And they were able to navigate the world completely normal. I don't know if the brain flipped everything completely normal. I don't know if the brain flipped everything right side up, but they were able to navigate everything upside down after about 2 or 3 days. But then when they took the goggles off at the end of the week, it was like disorienting again. They were disorienting back to the normal world because their brain flipped everything to fix the goggles. And there was another case story like years ago, the reverse perspective goggles, which I want, where they had this dude wear reverse perspective goggles. He was a neuropsychologist as well. I don't know the first school. I think he was just a science dude. But whatever, the neuropsychologists wore the reverse goggles. And it was hard for him to write stuff. I don't know the first school. I think he was just a science dude. But whatever, the neuropsychologists wore the reverse goggles. And it was hard for him to write stuff because left was right, right was left, and everything was weird. So he was like pouring. He didn't understand depth and everything. And the first couple of days was strictly disorienting and crazy. But then his brain got used to it. 8 days, he took the goggles off and everything was disorienting again because his brain got used to reverse perspective. So it took his brain a day to acclimate to regular perspective again. And so perhaps for the blind man or the blind lady who had a near-death experience, but the blind man who had the blind surgery, maybe after a week or two, his brain might acclimate to depth perception. I don't know, because all the other, to be honest, because all the other, to be honest, because the neuropsychologists with the reverse perspective goggles and the other science do with the upside down goggles are fully visual. They can see. So it's not like they never learn perspective. They see. They not like they never learn perspective. They see. They know what 3D. They know what depth is. So they just had to. So whereas the blind dude never learned that. So maybe if your brain never learned depth to begin with, there is no compensating it, because it's just kind of like a new weird experience that you have. It's interesting in this story here, where the guy said the people were experiencing the fourth dimension, and it was so overwhelming. And I'm like, that's exactly how I felt. That's exactly how I felt in my dreams, where I've experienced, whether it's the dream of me joining the bathroom underwater and the room morphing, or even today's dream where the images start morphing. And it wasn't like it was just sensory overload. I never did mushrooms. I never did LSD. I've never had synesthesia. I never had any of that I know of. Sure, it'd be cool. Mushrooms. I never did LSD. I've never had synesthesia. I never had any of that I know of. Sure, it'd be cool to experience for 10 minutes or 1 minute if I could control it. But I don't want to, the outside of, seem like when you take mushrooms and LSD, you can't control the trip. It just goes for it. So I don't think I want to do it, because you can't control it. And if I can't control it, there's no way in hell I'm going to do it. And to be honest, the reason why I even had this crazy dream, because I was looking at YouTube. Like I said, I literally fell asleep to this guy's, what is the name of this story here? Let me sit there. What is the name of this story here? Let me sit there. It's called, oh, damn it, The Terrifying Mystery of the Fourth Dimension. Yeah. 3-Body Problem series. And the 3-Body Problem was a really cool TV show on Netflix. I saw the whole video, and it was really, really awesome, even though it was not fourth dimension. It was just a whole video, and it was really, really awesome, even though it was not fourth dimension. It was just 3 dimensions of these aliens coming from a distant galaxy in space, where they were actually living on a planet that had 3 suns, and of course you couldn't survive. And so I don't even know what the hell aliens, because theoretically, how does it survive? But it was a really cool sci-fi TV series, The 3-Body Problem, and but they never hit the fourth dimension. It was always series, The 3-Body Problem, and but they never hit the fourth dimension. It was always just traveling to Earth, and they were all in high cryonic sleep, whatever. With that said, I guess they had a series of cryonic sleep, whatever. With that said, I guess they had a series, a trilogy, and this part, the movie was part of a trilogy, and the name of this one is called, what is the name of this one called?
He notices me. Just a heads up.
Okay, it's a 3-Body Problem, which I've seen, which is really cool. The Dark Forest, which I've never heard of or seen, and then Death's End, which I've never heard or seen. So he's going over Death's End, which is really cool. He's really into sci-fi movies, and so. But obviously they're into sci-fi movies, and so. But obviously the writer of this book, Cixin Liu, or whatever, must have had a trippy dream of visiting the fourth dimension, or he must be a mathematician. But you wouldn't. Must have had a trippy dream of visiting the fourth dimension, or he must be a mathematician. But you wouldn't know the visions of it unless you experienced it. So maybe he took some mushrooms or LSD. Because a lot of people take those and experience it, and they make stories, or they just have really crazy dreams like me and make stories. Because I never took any of it, but the way he described it in that thing was too long enough. Your brain will acclimate, perhaps. I don't know. I woke myself, every time I have those experiences, I wake myself the hell up, like this morning or this evening or whatever. It's now 9:45, so yeah. Well, anyway, do join us. Thank you so much. Or this evening or whatever. It's now 9:45, so yeah. Well, anyway, do join us. Thank you so much for that. And really, like I said, the reason why I wrote the dream down, recording this, is because I want to like, if I don't record my dreams time I wake up, then have a nice life. You're not going to remember. I won't remember it, which of course makes sense. You're not going to remember your dreams the second you wake up. And it's kind of like getting fuzzy now. And I knew it was such a crazy dream, but it was such a clear dream. I have a lot of dreams the second you wake up. and it's kind of like getting fuzzy now. And I knew it was such a crazy dream, but it was such a clear dream. I have a lot of dreams, and a lot of times I don't even bother. But this one was very clear, and I had the opportunity to record it, so that's what I did. I used to record my dreams all the time, but I don't bother anymore because what's the point? You know, I don't know. But with that said, I did you know, record this one because it was just kind of so weird and whatever. It's a very succinct dream. It was not like on and on, because I have some dreams that keep going on and on. It's like part 2, part 3, and all that, and I never get around and on. It's like part 2, part 3, and all that, and I never get around to end. So I said, well, since it has a start, middle, and end, let me just record it, and because it has a beginning, middle, and the end. The end is when they ended up getting tricked and going back to 1980 in the spaceship, and the aliens took off their payload and rolled out with their gold and payload to do who knows what. And the 5 humans from the future got stuck in 1980, and the dude ended up meeting, I guess it has to be his grandma, because how the hell you gonna meet your mom in 1980? And ended up, because how the hell you gonna meet your mom in 1980? And ended up, getting her pregnant, or maybe it was his mom, whatever it is. I think it was supposed to be his mother, but it doesn't make sense because he wasn't that old. With that said, yeah, that was my dream. Thanks for joining. Do check out tomorrow's church, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here, Church and Prayer Live, where you can leave your prayer request or even write your praise report in the live chat. You can leave your praise report and a prayer request in a live chat. And, so it's 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard, and a prayer request in a live chat. And, so it's 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard. Let me see what's going on here. Did it ever connect me to what the hell? Because I logged into all of these. What's going on, stupid thing? Why isn't this working? Let me wait for a minute here. Because, what's going on there? So let me... And I'm 45 minutes late to my karaoke. Ouch. Oh, my shoulder. Oh, my God. It's not even my shoulder. It's the tendon. But why isn't it... Ouch. Oh, my shoulder. Oh, my God. It's not even my shoulder. It's the tendon. But why isn't it... Avatar frames. What is going on here? Community party. Why? It's now July 7th through July, whatever. So why? It's now July 7th through July, whatever. So why the hell? Collect 30 hearts, whatever. Please give me some hearts, because it says collect 30 hearts. I don't know if they're talking about likes or what. What is this? How I achieved live rewards, remaining rewards, submission. How I achieved live rewards, remaining rewards, submission paused. So, yeah, useless. I got no rewards. No one likes me, I guess. I'm so sad. What is this? With this said, let me prepare to go to our Sakwa. The spelling my... Okay. Let's see how this goes. I guess he's going... Oh, he's connected me right away.
So, Junior.
Give me a one-word.
I forgot to mention that with our Florida people. So, thank you so much for giving us that. Oh my god! I don't even know what it is. I'm like, what? That's another thing I need to think about. Oh man, this is crazy.
Popsicle.
Everyone, times are weird. Everyone nod your head. Times are weird. Doesn't matter where you fall politically. Times be weird. Okay, here we go. We got 9 out of 9 suggestions, so let's do this here.
Ice.
We got so many good funny words. I love it.
Hey.
We are doing don't need lyrics.
All right. Well, anyway,
don't
my
need the lyrics?
karaoke thing is starting. So
No, I need the lyrics. Oh, you need the lyrics.
anyway,
Okay.
hope you join it. I'm about to do my
Miles got
karaoke
all the
live,
lyrics.
so you could join there.
Let's see what we got. Oh, this is so
Bye.
crazy. I'm running this off my iPhone.